How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to ReWrite. So we're at Terra. We're at the beginning of what looks like the actual storyline. My running theory, based on what we saw, is everything we've seen up until now, from all the different routes, including the ones I didn't showcase, but like the ones that existed, and Moon, were technically all part of a simulation. Just a kind of a run through of trial and error that Kagari was going through, trying to find a solution where life would have a chance to actually survive long term. And she was expending her energy just trying to find a way to make it so that life could exist beyond, like just the normal encapsulation of the planet. And for whatever reason, we finally hit that point where with a tiny little message that was compiled by an echo of Kotarou. He compacted it and put it in, and for some reason it changed everything. But now we have to launch ourselves away into a pocket of existence that got actually sent from the moon to Earth, and the process has actually started. So my theory is that Terra is the start of the canon. Like, this is the existence that's going to play out, and if we survive or not is entirely beholden to those who the actions that occur in this world line. So yeah, it's gonna get pretty real, literally. I'm real excited to see how this all plays out and how it starts, so let's jump right in. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Alright. Starts like every other route, except not like every other route. There's Earth. No monologue, at least not the same monologue.
サスペンション越しの衝撃が尻を叩く。道には子供の頭ほどもある石が平気で転がっている。
Okay.
誰もどかそうとしないし、できもしない。そいつを踏むと、とんでもない衝撃が車体を縦に貫く。最初は心臓が止まるかと思ったが、今ではなんてこともない。今しがた踏んづけた石が後方に切りもみしながら弾き飛ばされるのが見えた。目をそらす。石は血でどす黒く染まっていた。
Oh no, that's not good.
かつて何に使用されたのかなど考えたくもない。視線を分厚い防弾ガラスの向こうに向ける。殺伐とした荒野から赤茶けた砂塵が湯気のように立ち上っていた。この赤い荒野は環境破壊の結果できたのだと聞いた。だけど人の血を吸ったせいでそうなったと言われても信じることができた。事実、大勢が荒野で殺されている。目を夕日に焼かれた。
This is not what I expected at all.
思考が寸断され、不意に自分が何者なのかを見失う。ここはかつての日常からあまりにもかけ離れている。俺は一体何をしている。
What are we doing here? What's
すぐ
happening?
に現実に引き戻される。俺たちの車は危険地帯を絶賛走行中だった。旧式の軍用車両、防弾性能も最低だそうだが、乗り心地は輪をかけて最悪だ。最初の頃は乗るたびに体調を崩した。俺はそんな土地で銃を手にしていた。
This is like the path? The one that leads to a future? Catch me. That's terrifying. It sounds like he's just in a war. What the fetch? Look at that. It's like a red or like an orange red line. What the? The UI is completely different. So it's got like, now it's got like these buttons here, but it's got this branch up here, and we don't have our wheel of like rewrite. What the fetch? And why is like even the icons are like, why is everything so different? Oh, that's like, that alone is actually really disconcerting. The fact that like the UI is changed is so weird.
大丈夫か?
Luis sits beside me. He greets me in his stilted English. He's a tanned guy with a strongly defined face, 25 years old. In stark contrast to the rest of his features, his eyes shine with a life and warmth. He's about the full head taller than me and on the lanky side. And he's someone hard to come by, a friend. I've never seen him hit his head against the car, though.
平気、俺、石頭。
Okay.
Luis hails from Brazil, I from Japan. We speak to each other in English. Both of us are terrible at it. Our sporadic conversations tend to be simple and disjointed.
なあ、仕事終わったら酒。
俺、飲めないって。
もう大人なのにか?
酔えないから、好きじゃない。
気分楽しめ。
飯出るなら。
決まり。
We do a little fist bump. That settles it.
おい、うるさいぞ。
From the car's passenger seat, an exasperated voice snaps us out of it. He's our squad captain.
すみません。
ごめんなさい。
Our captain clicks his tongue in defiance and faces forward. Luis can't hold back his laughter as he slaps me on the shoulder.
火薬の匂いがします。
The man driving us remarks.
何かありそうか? 何もないが、路肩が焦げてえぐれてる。地雷ですか? 地雷は土の色でわかる。だが警戒は怠らないでくれ。道を外れれば。そっちの方が危険だ。それこそ、どこに何があるかわからん。
With peacekeeping forces stationed inside the town, it's still fairly safe. Take one step outside, though, and who knows what could attack you. Our group is no exception, despite being armed. The road is dotted with gouges in the ground like giant insect bites. They're all craters from explosions. This is the one and only route connecting a town to the outside. Any relief goods or personnel have to take this path. That's why we have to protect this route with our lives. It's an extremely dangerous mission. None of the country's peacekeeping detachments were willing to step up. So the buck got passed to the private military contractors like us to get the job done. But even amongst our kind, we're a pretty special type. Luis points to something.
車の残骸だ。
A few hundred meters ahead lies the wreck of a car. It's right on the side of the road. The captain relays instructions for the lead car to stay on guard, because that can be an ambush point or even a IED. Sometimes they're rigged with explosives, sometimes an ambush is waiting. Yeah, the lead car carries 4 people specifically selected for their resistance to fire. It decelerates as it passes by the wreckage. Wait, so you have people who are resistant to fire. What does that even mean? Like, are you talking about a superpower resistant to fire? Or are you just saying that they're just really good at keeping their heads? Nothing. With one source of danger having passed, the tension in the car lightens up a little. 2 people have already died this month because of explosive booby traps.
生き延びたか。
Sweat glistens on my gun-wielding hand. I wipe it on my shirt. The high-caliber assault rifle handed to me has yet to claim any lives. Neither has my trigger finger. I've gone through my training. My hands are familiar with emotions. When it comes to actual intent to kill, though, I'm still unsure. Deep down inside, I'm still Japanese at heart. Though I pray we don't have to get caught in any raids, I've never given it any thought beyond that. When it comes down to it, I have to pull the trigger without hesitation. For my own sake. Or maybe for the sake of the world?
そんな動機じゃな。
We approach the intersection. What is happening? This is as far as our patrol takes us.
車だ。おい、新入り。
もうだいぶ経つんですけど。
うるさい。確認しろ。
A car rapidly approaches from the intersecting road. Being the closest to it, it falls to me to check it out. There are 2 passengers, including one in the front passenger seat. Their faces are covered, so I can't see them. The car itself, it seems familiar, yet not. It looks weird. Luis bends forward to see.
多国籍者だ。
あのボロが国連安保理の決議を受けて走っているとはな。
UNSC. UNSC. Is that United Nations something? Like it must be. Maybe that's UN forces.
違う。いろんな車のパーツ寄せ集め。
Ooh, it's a cobbled car. Stolen or cheaply purchased junk cars are often used as suicide bomb vehicles. Apart from the driver, everyone in the car has their gun at ready.
撃つか？
後ろに新たな後続車両の一段接近。
The tension grows thicker. Yeah, this is actually looking like an actual, like, cobbled attack. If the terrorists have mixed in with civilian cars coming from the capital, this is going to be big trouble.
車間距離を空けろ。加速して近寄る素振りを見せた車をテロリストとみなす。了解。
The decision is unthinkable, but it's an inevitability here or else we die. The vehicle in question does not approach us.
よし。二つ隣の車線で減速しろ。前。
Our car slowly, suddenly, as if emergency braking were engaged, recklessly driving, really. The car drives by next to us. No suspicious behavior.
通り過ぎた。
減速したら注意してくれ。後続車両は。新入り、お前の位置から見るんだよ。
すいません。
My English comprehension is terrible, so stuff like this sometimes slips by. I trained my eyes on the cars that are behind it. I determined whether the car is suspicious based on the occupants. It's pretty easy to distinguish whether they're local terrorists or a bunch of foreigners. Anyone with a trimmed beard, neat clothes, skin that isn't heavily tanned is definitely a foreigner. There are males in both the driver and passenger seats. Both of them are hiding their faces.
後方トラック危険
I spot a pickup truck approaching at an unnatural speed.
加速しろ。
The car picks up speed in an instant. And about the same time, the tarp covering the rear of the approaching pickup flies off, exposing a group of armed men riding in the back. The terrorists have a lot of elements of surprise, but they still let loose a volley of gunfire. There's a considerable distance between us, not to mention how they keep getting in the way of each other while trying to move. The bullets don't even graze us.
撃て。抜かるな。
The command vehicles we're on, as well as the vehicle behind us protecting the rear, return fire at the same time.
当たっちまうぞ
The enemy doesn't have a chance of hitting us, while we can definitely hit back. We're far more accurate than any normal person. To us, taking aim from a distance with a rifle is akin to simply reaching out and grabbing something. Once I squeeze the trigger, I'm gonna be a murderer. I don't know, dude. I don't know if that quite counts if they're literally trying to kill you. An eternity of thought follows that moment of hesitation.
小太郎、きついなら。
いや
I already resolved myself for this long ago. I want to stay here. To stay in this place. It's a pretty simple wish. And yet somehow I keep on failing to do that.
負の連鎖を断つ
I already decided I would do what I needed to do to obtain what I want. I see 6 heads swaying about in the back of the pickup. All of them enemies. There are also 6 of us who can shoot, exactly 1 per person. A gust of wind, boiling with the burning sands, blows between the vehicles. The captain, followed by Luis, fires precise shots at the pickup truck. I follow suit. The target's human heads collapse as if being knocked straight to the ground. That was the first day I killed someone. What a great start. Just bravo. Just so happy. You know, here we are. I wanted to go and save the world. Here we go. Fetch me. What on earth is happening? Okay. Oh, so we're going to find out how we get to that point? This is wild. This is wild. I was a pretty awkward kid. Same, bro. Same. I just couldn't do things right. I was also pretty aloof. I was tossed into a crowd of random strangers at the left at the mercy of a hierarchy from the strong and the weak. It's not that I hated everyone and everything. I simply didn't know how to blend in. That's why I never experienced opening up to anyone. I always kept to myself. The only way I could make up for it was in physique. For kids, PE class is a big deal. If I could show my abilities, then I could get people to look up to me. Whenever I wished that I could do something, it actually felt like I could. As long as I wished for it, I was able to get the results that I wanted. When it came to sprinting, baseball, even swimming, I beat everyone at every sport there ever was. I didn't even stop to think if I was cheating. but I didn't get the recognition that I had hoped for. No one would pass the ball to me. And whenever I did get the ball, everyone ignored me. Some others just gave up on the match entirely. Before I knew it, I'd become someone to be avoided. Once I became the target of one of the bullies in class. He and his groupies started harassing me. And it wasn't just verbal either, they got physical. He'd push me around, throw my stuff in the trash, even hit me with a flying kick. My patience ran dry after just a few days. Snapped and fought back. Didn't even think of holding back. Thinking over and over about how I could do anything, I fought at full power. Ooh. I ended up with every single one of the bullies getting seriously hurt. The story made its way to the principal and their parents, and things got even more complicated when it turned into a major incident. Eventually, the parents all came to a settlement. I had to transfer schools. Apparently, my parents paid a hefty sum for reparations too. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that? You're getting bullied, you fight back, and then you have to pay reparations in court because of it? You must have really messed him up though. Like, maybe he caused permanent injuries, like life-altering injuries. I was also made to take an examination. They said nothing was wrong with me, but I don't really know the truth. No one told me anything. Even after changing schools, nothing changed. The parents of the bullies kept on spreading malicious rumors, which shadowed me wherever I went. What, they went on like an internet campaign to track you down? Well, even if there weren't any rumors, I wasn't the kind of guy who could make 100 friends. Part of me wanted to change myself. By the way, wanted to make 100 friends. That's absolutely a reference, right? Like, isn't that like what he said way at the very, very beginning? His desire was. So he isn't any different, really. But like, he's talking about how he could like wish that he can do something and he does it. That sounds like the rewrite ability almost, or like a version of it, but I don't think it's the same. Part of me wanted to change myself. The other held the world in contempt. The two conflicting sides writhed and clashed within me. That's cool. That's the two sides, the two sides of the question that Akane asked us, you know? Do you want to prefer to change yourself, or do you want to see the world change? Interesting.
今日、ザラス行こうぜ。みんなも誘おうよ。おーい、ザラス行く人。行く行く。俺も行かせて。
I clearly failed to be part of the world. And so, that's how I grew up. After a few years, even after growing up a few grade levels, nothing changed. I didn't join any clubs, had no one to hang out with. What the fetch is happening? Like, so is this world line that we like invented with his ability? Did we somehow just circumvent all our friendships? Is that what happened? Is like, did we inadvertently sacrifice everything that was important to us in order to provide a path to a future? Like, if that's what happened, that's sad. No girlfriend either. My youth was as gray and lifeless as it could get. The only thing I did well was in my studies. But that's because I had nothing better to do. Interesting. Like, I always felt like I had phases of my childhood and like going up through school where it was gray and lifeless. But the thing is that not in this context. I had friends. I had girlfriends. Like, I had stuff that I got to do. I had stuff that was fun to do. It was far from perfect. Absolutely not perfect at all. I was an idiot for one. And I was too preoccupied with of what others thought rather than what I was interested in. But this is like a genuine isolation. This is like dangerous levels of isolation. Like, this is the stuff that pushes people to extremes. My grades are pretty high thanks to that. I stopped doing the same crazy stuff in PE like I had before. Frankly, I held back. Compared to the average person, I just ran just a little faster, threw just a little harder, jumped a little higher. That alone was enough to get me exceptionally high grades in PE. The teachers seemed to have a hard time dealing with me too.
なんでよ、そいつがまた傑作でさ。
I cast a sidelong glance at the rest of the class as they enjoy a bit of banter. Mingling with that crowd carries a lot of risks. I'd have to break character, yet blend in naturally without going too far. Okay, this actually is starting to sound like what Kotarou expressed his growing up to be like, but the tone is really different.
無理だって。
I make one mistake, there's no taking that back. In the very least, not until I graduate. The hustle and bustle of break times is ceaseless. I'm the only one who isn't talking. The world is unequal, unfair, and unfriendly. I know that. But it's still frustrating. I'm not looking for someone to blame. I'm not trying to put myself down. It's just stifling. Painfully suffocating. When I was that age, I was gasping for breath like a goldfish out of water. The mere act of living felt like torture. Dang, man.
ですから、人間が科学の力だけで環境の相互作用、因果関係を解き明かすのは不可能であると言えるわけです。
A church that doesn't feel like a very religious would be a good way to put it. The altar is a simple lectern without any sort of furnishing. The middle-aged professor is giving a lecture. There are about 200 seats lined up neatly. Both adults and children are present. There are families, students, and even the elderly. This audience listens quietly to what the professor has to say. I'm among the audience. The Japanese Martel group holds these meetings. Interesting. So he's going to this. For the truly diligent researchers, the program is offered twice a week. It takes place on a weekday and a weeknight and on a weekend morning. It totals up a curriculum of 3 hours a week. You have to stay quiet the entire time, so it feels awfully long for kids.
地球環境が傷ついていることは分かっても、その原因さえ正確に調べることはできません。環境というのは複雑なシステムです。例えば害虫が大発生したから天敵となる外来種を持ち込んだ。果たしてそれで根本的な解決になるでしょうか。
I mean, he's got a point there.
いいえ、たとえ害虫が駆除できても、今度は外来種が環境をかき乱してしまいます。そうした事情に加え、人類の行う対策はどれも金銭や政治と密接に絡んでいて、必ずしも治療のみを目的としたものとは言えません。
Again, he's absolutely right.
これらの理由から、人は自らの力のみによって環境問題を解決しようと思うのではなく、外部的な判断、環境の客観作用に委ねることが寛容であるわけです。
So this sounds like the Martel group is still actively a participant in Gaia. Like, this feels like Gaia is still present in this world. There are a lot of children in the hall holding back their yawns. They're all just like me, brought in by their parents. The Japanese Martel group, a natural conservative organization. It's got the same roots as the manga Martel group headquarters in Naples. Magna. Not manga. Magna. The group is an NGO with over 30 million members all over the world. It's often mistaken for a religious organization, but it isn't. It was established to support and enlighten the public about conserving the Earth. Yeah, it's still Gaia, but reportedly it's a scientific foundation. In actuality, its pamphlets say they hand out at these meetings do have some scientific substance. On the group's roster is the all-star list of scientists that would surprise anyone in the know. My parents are also members of the Martel group.
それでは10分の休憩を挟んだ後、午前の合同研究に移りたいと思います。
After waiting for the applause to die down, the professor gets off the stage. I make a dash for the restroom. Not like I had to go pee or anything, I just couldn't stand sitting still any longer. I head out to the entrance hall and cool air feels nice and refreshing. There are already a few other kids here too.
帰りたい。あと1時間か。
Their honest thoughts find a way out. This sort of stuff is the stuff they can't tell their parents. Inside, I feel the same as they do, but I don't join in their conversation. I'm alone, both at school and here. I also stare at the bulletin board I have no interest in. Someone steps through the building's entrance.
あら、小太郎くん。
Iko.
1時間遅刻。
そうなの。この子たちがぐずっちゃってね。
Who's Iko? Miss Fuku Iko. Fuku Iko. She runs the foster home called the Enshi House. Oh, fetch! She's got quite a lot of kids with her today, too.
今日は他の職員さん来て
そうなのよ。だから大変なの。手伝ってくれる？
何したらいいの？
じゃあ、この子をお願い。
Oh. She leaves me with a young girl.
おっとん。
Oh, hi. What am I supposed to do here?
イコさん。
こっちよみんな。靴は脱いでね。あらあら、ダメよ土足は。
She's busy dealing with the other kids.
名前は？
おとん。
違うんだけど。
おとん？
いや、俺はおとんじゃないよ。天王寺小太郎ってんだけど。
Yeah?
おとん。
いいよ、もうおとんで。
I mean, I'm guessing she's really young.
何歳？
ブーブー。
Guess daddy's all she could manage.
仕方ないな。
Dang. I bring her to a bench in the lobby. She sometimes trips and falls on her butt while walking, though she's fine as long as I'm holding her hand. The two of us sit on the bench for a while until break time's almost over. Man, she must be so small.
お待たせ。あら、仲良しさん。
あまり話合わないんだけど。
あら、面白いこと言って。
She giggles. That's the kind of person she is.
この子、普段は活発すぎるくらいなんだけど、今日はずいぶんおとなしいのね。
Is this gonna be Lucia? I don't know. If it is, it feels like we're definitely much older than we were before.
お兄ちゃんの隣だからかな。
I really wish she'd stop with those jokes.
俺のこと、おとんって。
まだそれしか話せないのよ。よかったら、研究でも隣に座らせてあげてくれない？
いいけど。
Color's clearly uncomfortable.
ありがとう。人手不足でいつも一人一人面倒を見てあげることができないから、小太郎くんが親しくしてくれると嬉しいな。
名前は？
私、イコちゃん。
じゃなくて。
なんだ、その子の方なの？その子はね、千里茜っていう
Oh,
のよ。
fetch me. It's Akane. Okay. I guess that makes sense with her not being able to talk. But yeah, again, we really must be like much older in this run through. We're like almost like, God, we gotta be at least 10 years older, if not more. So we're gonna miss our friendships just because of that. Martel highly values filial love. That's why anyone is welcome here. From single-minded aged women to the youth who are tired of living. From lonely young ladies to old men who have lost hope. From kids without parents to people in grave circumstances. Even if you don't care much for saving the environment, Martel won't turn you away. There are a lot of people who have had it hard, but after joining Martel, they've managed to get their liveliness back. It's because of the passionate interactions of the people here that help them recover. Sure. Here, you're treated with a unique individual, regardless of your inherent qualities as a person. There's an interview out on stage with a special guest.
それで大西博士は実際にマーシャル諸島にまで行かれたわけですね。そうなんです。海外旅費を支援してくれたので、私のような苦学生ならぬ苦学者も実地で学ぶ機会を得ることができました。水爆が環境に与えた影響がまず気になるわけですが、現時点で環境はほぼ 100% 回復しています。サンゴ礁や魚などの多様性はいかがでしたでしょう？回復しています。水爆実験の後、だいたい半世紀ほどで環境は蘇生したということですね。
This is a little interesting because, like, what you might not realize is that the radiation problem with nuclear weapons is actually not as much a problem anymore. I don't know about the transitionary period between the first like fission bombs, which were like the ones that were used in World War II, versus the fusion bombs, which are the hydrogen bombs, because the fusion bombs use a fission nuclear explosion to detonate a fusion nuclear explosion, which is so much bigger and it just destroys everything. So like the only radiation fallout would really be from the remains of the fission bomb, because and so these a lot of the like actual hydrogen bombs don't, like when you have a fusion reaction, it doesn't emit the same type of toxic, deadly radiation. The radiation's a lot more, it's weird to say, but natural, because it's that, remember, fusion is what powers the sun. It's not giving off the same levels of types of radiation. It's still bad, and there's still like a lot about a fusion bomb that's not great, a hydrogen bomb that's not great, but it's definitely not the same fallout issues that we associate with nukes.
水爆などというと放射能が半減するまで何百年もかかるという話もありましたが、 動植物ごとに放射線耐性には差がありますし、生存できる種は天敵のいない海域にどんどん入り込んでくるわけです。マーシャルでは水爆実験の後、50年ほど住人はいませんでした。人間さえいなければ自然は急速に回復するポテンシャルを持っています。
There's the crux of the Martel/Gaia's argument, saying, hey, if there's no humans around, nature thrives. I hear a yawn. Beside me, Senri Akane looks sleepy. Actually, she's pretty much half asleep.
倒れるよ。
Aww. I have to prop her up so she doesn't just fall over on her side. I can't take my eyes off her. Taking care of a kid sure is rough.
ではここで会場の来場者の方から。
I'm not good with asking questions. Speaking in front of a crowd is pain and suffering for me.
小太郎、質問して。
My mom sitting beside me suddenly pressures me to ask a question. I want to click my tongue in annoyance.
今日はいい。
よくない。準備なさいって言ったでしょ。
Okay, so she's really involved. It's really interesting too to have his parents actually around. Granted, at the time when we see them, they're off away working or whatever, but here like he's with them, which is really interesting.
ほら、手を上げて。
いいって。
She grabs my arm, but I yank it away as hard as I can.
うちの子なら、うちのルールに従って、小太郎。
She sounds like a lovely lady. My mom raises her voice at me in warning, perhaps losing her temper. Several people also turn their heads in my direction. How mortifying. Sucks thinking that kids my age and Miss Iko heard all that. Why won't she just leave me alone? My immature anger swirls at how unjustly I'm being treated. I'm driven by my dark, muddled emotions. I raise my hand to get called upon. The researcher leading the discussion hands me a microphone. I take it, still tingling with a little guilt as I shout.
自然を守るためには人間なんて邪魔だってことだろ。
Akane looks up at me in astonishment. My cheek hurts. As I sit alone on a chair in the lobby, Miss Iko takes a seat beside me.
今日はありがとうね。どうしたの？
いや、別に。
After the meeting, my parents and I were called to the professor's office. They didn't give me a verbal lashing or anything like that. The fact that I was a kid should also have been a factor for him to overlook it. If anything, he actually supported me, telling my parents they should speak to more so that they don't push their child too hard. It was a lukewarm sort of love. The sort of love that anyone would get if they asked for it. Even after a little show of defiance, it didn't receive any punishment. Despite that, I still wasn't satisfied.
やっちゃった。
合同研究の時の？
うん。
博士に怒られたかな？
全然。親は怒られてたけど。
Yeah.
疲れた。
あらまあ。
もう来たくないかも。マーテルの話って聞いててイライラしてくる。
どうしてそう感じるの？
わかんないけど、人間の欠点ばかり話してて聞いててへこむ。
It's like watching the news, man. So it just makes me sad.
なるほどね。そうね。小太郎くんの言ったことね。
え？
自然にとって人間の活動から受ける恩恵なんてないのは事実だもの。
I mean, she's kind of right. We try. We definitely are trying much harder than we used to. But for whatever benefit we give the world, we tend to take far more. Like, it's just the way it works, unfortunately.
人間はちょっと自然から離れすぎちゃったから。
よくわからないよ。
人は環境を汚染し続けているから、近いうちに地球は人間の住める場所じゃなくなる。マーテルでも自然保護の運動はしているけど、この流れは止められないと言われているわね。小太郎くんは辛いことってある？
It's like she's fishing to see if she can invite us into joining.
ある。
Far too many times to count. But there's just one thing I really want. People who lack a sense of fulfillment will continue to find dissatisfaction in the smallest things.
もうすぐその辛いことが全部なくなるとしたらどう？
そりゃ嬉しいけど。
それを自然の均衡が決めてくれるのよ。
それって。
Miss Iko smiles, her face completely devoid of darkness, shining unnaturally as if illuminated from all sides at once.
どうしようもないことなんだ。でもね、小太郎くん。その後もちゃんと命は続いていくんだよ。私たちではない。別の命かもしれないけど、それって気が楽でよくない？
She places her hand atop my head. Her dry, rough fingers have raised many children comfort me as she ruffles my hair. The trace of worry I had leaves my body, stolen away by her gentle, soothing touch. Martel's teachings teeter toward the sentiment of resignation. Sounds as if they're urging me to just give up. And yet, Miss Iko is so cheerful. She doesn't complain or whine at all. She's such a respectable person. I believe she's a strong person. Interesting. And now we're into the intense music. What is happening? My parents are often away from home for long periods of time. It's not something decent parents ought to be doing. Both of them working researchers in a Martel-affiliated company. Their jobs don't afford them much free time. That shouldn't be enough of a reason, though. I never spoke with them about it, but the main reason is that my parents and I are just at odds with each other. It's not like we're fighting, but we just aren't meshing well. We're heading in different directions. The divide between us only continues to grow with age. At this point, we've already learned to simply leave the other be. When you live alone in a big house like this, you sometimes get anxiety attacks, or your chest starts to tightening up. It feels as if the entire world is leaving you behind. School, family, and Martel. I've been in so many different environments, but none of them have felt right to me. Oh, hang on. I just had a realization. One of the things that Kotarou always talked about was his past, and he referenced it like this. So maybe he's a lot younger right now than I anticipated. I thought he might be in middle school age already, but maybe he's actually much younger, even though he's thinking very like his thoughts don't reflect that, but maybe that's what's happening here. Because we also had a really interesting clue a few episodes ago when Kotarou was looking into his own memories and realized there's this gap where just no matter all of his replicants, all his duplicate selves throughout all these different simulations, they always had this blank spot in his memory that he just had nothing there. What if that's what we're actually going to be exploring here? What if this is the exploration of that blank space, and maybe we're going to witness the events that lead to the injury that normally got patched by Kotarou? So maybe that's what's happening? Like maybe we're seeing things play out in that direction, and we're just seeing that it turns out that when he was young, he ended up having a interaction with Akane before she got picked up by the Holy Woman. So, interesting. Anyway, so sorry that's very tangential. It's just like it kind of hit me all of a sudden. Like, oh, maybe the gap years that we've had hinted at for so long is what we're going to witness. And maybe the events of the injury, like where we're going to lead ourselves to that. Okay, so anyway, none of them felt right to me. It was a depression that drove me to such radical action.
逃がすかよ。
I don't even let the smallest sound slip me by. I chase after it. They're fast. I can't even catch them visually. Oh, okay. Here, I just had another thought too. So I talked about how we don't have the wheel of rewrite. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the key. The rewrite ability got introduced to us whenever we became half familiar, because that makes a lot of sense. So we haven't reached that point in our story with Kotarou. But even before then, it sounds like he was developing supernatural type powers, right? He had some kind of ability. He got tested for it. That's what because he was always super physically successful. And he got tested, but maybe he wasn't apt enough to warrant Guardian snatching us out of our lives. So they just kind of made note of us and kind of let us go. And then Gaia is somebody who's also had a bit of an eye on us, at least at this point in his life. But whether or not they're just going to dismiss him or not remains to be seen. Okay, so I think we're just seeing his actual background. A faint presence disappears into the school building. I head in without any hesitation. A school whose name I don't even know. The chilly night air mixes in with my own tension, filling me with a grim thrill. I can't leave many shoe prints here. I change into the gym shoes I brought with me. I chase after the presence. I didn't see exactly what it looked like, but I'm convinced it's just what I think it is. Basically, it lurks in places where people don't normally look, moving about only within dark areas. There are times when it just outright vanishes, like it teleports someplace else. But after being tracked so relentlessly, it will eventually start to fight back. I can't help but suppress a chuckle. This is a thrilling, dangerous game. I can do anything at all. I have all the power I need at my fingertips.
ここだな。
All the classrooms are closed, but the door to the girls' toilet is half open. This can't be good. I place a hand on the door and slowly push it open. A pointed silhouette shoots out like an arrow from within the darkness. I immediately jump back. I grab the snake-like shadow and slam it against the wall. The weight against my toes brings me closer and closer to a high. I check the thing that's lying on the floor.
吸血ワームか。
Interesting. So that's one of those weird familiars, right? It's a cryptid I've been hunting countless times before. These things are strange animals that you can't find in any reference book, creatures that have yet to be discovered. These things are found in abundance all over Kazamatsuri. I was the one who named them blood-sucking worms. They are worm-like creatures that look like cigars turned into a living being. They reach dozens of centimeters in length. I couldn't find anything that looked like an eye or a nose, but it had a sharp proboscis. It resembles a snake, but it moves much faster. That's terrifying. Snakes are very quick. It can leap as fast as a grasshopper and can even swim underwater. A year ago, this was a case where someone died after being lanced right through their neck. 4 years before that, a similar case occurred, but neither of the killers were ever caught. Those cases particularly stuck in my mind, especially because of how bizarre they were. The thing was the culprit. This is how these things work. The worms easily sneak their way into a house, sticking its proboscis into the neck of a victim. It injects an anticoagulant to make sure the blood doesn't clot. The chemical it injects also contains some kind of anesthesia so the victim can't move. It breaks down in a mere 30 minutes. After that, it leaves no trace. In the meantime, the worm sucks blood until its victim dies. Its bodily tissues are extremely hydroscopic. They puff up like a sponge and it soaks up the blood. Even a worm this small can manage to suck out enough blood to kill a person. It's an incredibly dangerous creature. We can't allow it to roam free. The Earth is being targeted. We need the help of the Earth Rescue Hunter. Oh my gosh, it's what he calls himself. And that's where I come in. Every night I hunt these cryptids. This is my secret pastime to fill the void in my heart.
雑魚なんだよな。
I kick the worm around. It writhes and squirms on the ground. I've taken out countless ones like these. They creeped me out at first, but there's no big deal once you get used to them. Even now, I'm already bored of dealing with these things.
残念だったな。今夜は吸えなくて、代わりに俺の血をやるよ。
I expose a bit of bare skin on my arm, taunting the worm. The worm flexes its body, sticking its head out as it jumps like a spring. The needle pierces my skin. It doesn't really hurt. My body's already become accustomed to extreme pain.
うまいか。
Starting from the tip going downwards, the worm is slowly dyed a reddish brown. That's because it's sucking blood. Only the torso swells up, while the head and tail remain the same size. Its suction is powerful. If I just watched idly, I'd probably pass out in a few minutes. With the blood being drawn out of me, my body starts getting the chills.
そこまで。
Once I give the order, it stops sucking blood. The worm expands and contracts its body. It's acting like a pump, trying to increase the suction pressure. But it can't suck, I'm not letting it. Okay, so he can control his body? In any case, the insides of the wound seriously hurts. I shouldn't play around too much.
そうだ。ハリセンボンだぞ。
I focus my consciousness. The worm squirms about in panic, but it's too late. From within its body, countless needles thrust out in all directions.
吸血ってのは俺と相性が悪すぎだって。
So how is he doing that? Like what? The worm convulses for a while, but eventually melts into nothing. I beat it. I feel just a little lightheaded when I stand up. Adding to my fatigue, I did lose quite a bit of blood there. I wipe the blood off the wound. After reinforcing the damaged blood vessels under my skin, I reconnect them. So, he does have powers. It's like he can do the rewriting now. Okay, so it wasn't tied directly to the intervention from Kotarou. I guess that's true of, Sakuya. Like, Sakuya, he described his ability of rewrite being just innately a part of him. He's just a metahuman, whatever that is, or like a superhuman. So maybe he does have it, but we don't have the wheel for some reason. They should naturally recover on their own now. That's as far as my power can go. I don't really know how it works either. Before I knew it, I could control my blood. The worm is now nothing but dust. With these cryptids, killing them doesn't leave a corpse. All that's left are chunks of coagulated blood. I collect them in a bag I brought with me. There's gonna be a ruckus if they find pools of blood all over the place.
こんなに吸わせてたのか、俺。
Hunting cryptids is a dangerous proposition. But it has to be dangerous, otherwise I wouldn't be able to vent.
地球救済完了。
The Earth Rescue Hunter, Tennouji Kotarou. It's a hollow, self-assigned moniker with no real meaning, though I try not to think about that fact. So he has power. But controlling his blood, that feels different. I've learned that the forest is teeming with these cryptids. The Earth Rescue Hunter shifts his area of operation to the forest. It's the perfect location since I can go all out without having to worry about people seeing me. I corner the cryptids and take them down. I went on a bit of a frenzy, convinced that I could do anything. I started skipping school more often. It's because I began going out on these late-night adventures much more frequently. Martel's meetings were the only times I couldn't get a break from my parents. Apart from that, they never said anything to me. Chasing after cryptids. Hunting down cryptids. I'd go to school in the day and then in the forest at night to take out those monsters. Nothing feels real anymore. This is what they meant by going off the rails? Without finding an answer to that question, my skills as a hunter only continued to grow.
地球救済完了。
At my feet, a giant beetle-like cryptid crumbles to dust. It's only about 30 centimeters long and has an annoying attack where it rams you like a cannonball, a real pain to fight. I rub my shoulder. It only grazed me, but it managed to rip flesh off my body. If this thing actually hit me straight on, it'd definitely break a bone.
でもまだ雑魚だよな。
So, he fought it and it made the blade sound. Is he making his Aurora blade? Or what? Like, how is he fighting them right now? I don't really feel a sense of exhilaration. Maybe it's because I messed up there. All I have is this muddled sense of tiredness. I'm still no hero. I need even more power. Power to fit for the Earth Rescue Hunter.
攻撃を当てるのが難しくなってきてる。
The forest seems to be kind of an evolutionary playground. There are all sorts of undiscovered species. They come in all sizes, small and large. Some of them bear a strong resemblance to another animal, while others look entirely different from anything else that exists. Some have camouflaged to blend in with their surroundings, while others look especially poisonous. And of course, there are the weak and the strong. I need to execute precise attacks delivered with the necessary strength. To achieve that, not only do I need power and speed, but also dexterity. Basically, I need to buff my dex stat.
また
Okay,
あれをやるか。
so he does have rewrite. Doing this has been sort of ritual.
もう少し素早く。そして思い通りに動きたい。
I wish for it strongly. For a mental image of a new ideal self. Within my imagination, I supplement my current self with the power that I need.
瞬発力とセンス。
I squeeze my eyes shut and concentrate. So he does have this. So the rewrite power was always a part of him. After about a minute of concentration, I feel a part of something deep within me vanish. That which vanishes then turns into the strength of vitality, seeping into every cell of my body. It changes shape into something like a vine, entangling and assimilating into my bones, my blood vessels, my nerves. Just as I wished, myself is strengthened. In actuality, this isn't just some kind of charm. It's something I can actually refer to as a superpower. I'm not sure if it's real or if I'm just hearing things, but my semicircular canals are buzzing. The smell of the forest intensifies. I choke. My senses grow stronger. I can perceive many more things than I could before. It takes a few days for me to get used to the increased sensory information. Time to put this to the test. I jump off the ground, then kick off a tree right in front of me. It's a triangle jump, otherwise known as a wall jump. I can't believe just how high up in the air I am. I'm at least several meters off the ground. My body slowly tilts forward, and if I don't do anything, I'll probably hit the ground on my back.
着地を。
I stretch my legs out like a clock hand, gaining centrifugal force and stabilizing my center of gravity. My control is now perfect. I spin like a cartwheel and free fall without breaking a stance. This is a lot of airtime. But that's just because I'm jumping even higher than I had before. I land safely. Both my legs still raring to go. Brimming with confidence, I head straight to the next tree and jump off that too. The next moment, I'm swinging off a branch I could never have reached while on the ground.
すっげえ。
I can get as strong as I want. I don't even need to put in the effort. This is the sort of strength that wouldn't be of any use living in this world. I can't participate in sports either. Otherwise, it'll cause a huge commotion. I'm different from people. I'm superior to people. The mere fact that gives me a dark sense of sort of pleasure. And this is like the underlying like thought line that Yoshiro had issue with. Like he kind of felt this, but even Kotarou seemed to kind of forget like where this came from. Interesting.
こんな風に隠れてずっと生きていくのか。
My chest tightens up. I desperately try not to think about it. Wouldn't want to waste a buzz of I'm feeling right now. I leap off the branch and run through the forest. Sprinting from tree to tree, I feel a sense of speed that I've never experienced before as I dash through. Unknowingly, the corners of my mouth curl upward. Oh, I guess I'm smiling. Is it out of joy or am I laughing at myself? I don't know. I don't want to think about it. I just have to keep on running until I forget. I have to run myself to the ground until I'm absolutely exhausted. What stops me in my tracks isn't exhaustion, though. I find a faint light hidden within the woods.
誰かキャンプでもしてんのか。
A weak light leaks through the gaps in the trees. Rather than caution, my sense of curiosity wins me over. Scrambling through the grass and shrubbery, I approach the source of the light. The corner of the woods is dense with greenery. Did he find the power spot? Still, the growth is abnormally dense. Not only that, but there's something unusual about it. I strain my eyes. As long as there's even a little bit of light, the forest at night isn't any problem for me. After parting the last bush, I see a giant sprout before my eyes. I'm speechless. The bud is aglow from a faint phosphorescent light. Oh, is this Kagari? It's just like the tale of the bamboo cutter, an old man finding a shining stalk of bamboo in the mountains. The plant is a big green bud, fresh and taut, but I don't even know what kind of plant it is. The bud itself emits a pale white light.
綺麗だ。
I reach out to touch it. It's cold. Just because it's glowing doesn't mean it's warm, I suppose. It's cold kind of light. This is the stuff of fantasy and mystery. Things that we've mostly lost ever since the planet was dominated by science. Once in a blue moon, though, things like this get discovered. I'm already a human. I can't go back there anymore. I can't melt away and go back into those happy fantasies. Whoa, these thoughts don't feel like they belong. No matter how many centuries I hunt down, I can't run away from the taint of reality. That very thought makes me want to hurl. Yes, like I feel like that's a fragment of like his thoughts. And it's funny that he talks about once in a blue moon. Like I don't know if that's it meant to be a cheeky reference or not, but like it almost feels like those thoughts are coming from like that echo that we were seeing in the moon route. Not that I do, of course, but I let loose something that's just as nasty.
全部溶けてなくなっちまえばいい。
I cry. Once the tears subside, I no longer find the shining bud. Oh no. Alright. I feel like we could go a lot longer, but I also feel like this is just a good place to stop. There's a lot going on. It's really, really weird. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and end it here for now. I don't even know if we got a good like thumbnail at any point in that at all, but you know, I'll figure that part out. But here we are, the beginning of Terra, and like I said, it's very weird and very bleak, but I'm guessing this really is just that gap in our memory. We're exploring Kotarou's past in detail. Like, it feels so weird and alien, but it might not in the long scheme of things. Maybe it's going to make a lot of sense as we kind of continue through the story and kind of really come around to the finale of it all and just see how it all plays out, like where all the dots connect. It's really fascinating though, because it's like, where is it going to go from here? How is this all going to play out? And are we going to end up seeing him meeting and becoming friends with the characters and the people whom he cares about so deeply? I thought for a little while that maybe part of the downside of this world was that we were going to become an observer rather than a participant in like the ORS. You know, that would be a really sad reality, but what if it meant that we were able to save humanity? Maybe it'd be worth the sacrifice, but so far, I'm not entirely sure. I think we might just be seeing his original, like his past playing out. Stuff that he always made allusions to, but we're actually seeing how it all happened. So this will be interesting, but that implies that we're going to be seeing Kotarou soon, which that'll be happy. Although I imagine it's going to be a very traumatic and intense scene, but you know, we'll get there. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel and for being a part of this journey. Again, I probably could have made this a little longer, but I feel like it's just something tells me this is a good place to stop, and that it'll give us a lot more to sink our teeth into next week. So I think we'll have to just enjoy it for now and see where it takes us. But yeah, Kotarou, very isolated child, very lonely child. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out and what ends up happening. Because I'm kind of terrified that he's just told a Kotarou, no, not Kotarou, a Kagari, like a budding Kagari, that he just wants the world to end, which isn't really what he wants in the long term. But at that point, he's just very sad and very overwhelmed and very lonely. He's prime candidate for Gaia right now, really. He really is. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me at the beginning of Terra. Let's see how much how this story plays out and see what we enjoy of it. So thank you so much for being here. Hope you join me next week, and also join me for some of the other great series we're covering on the channel, either actively or even going back into the old library and going and seeing some of the stuff that's already been published. There's a lot of good stuff on the channel. I really would love to see what you think of it. So thank you so much for being here. And until next video, watch me up, see me next. I'll see you there.